Oh my god, in the last 9 years, it's like being around my mother's friggin' deadbeat sister, the window licking Robin Childs, and her equally window licking daughter, Christy Childs. Never made it unknown that I couldn't stand them. We can go back to even with, we can go back to when I was with Joe Menor or anyone else. I can't believe Christy Childs keeps in touch with people. But she's that hard up. I can't stand them. Oh my god, it's been a nightmare in the last 9 years. It's been exactly like being around. Oh, and I'll tell you something from my childhood. My mother used to always carry on and say, you wanted me to be like her sister Robin. She's like, you always have fun with Robin, with sis, they call her. And it's like, you always look happy. It's like, we're laughing at her. We're laughing at her. We're not laughing with her. She's the laugh. She's the drunk. So we're laughing at her. I look at her kids and I think, they're deadbeats. My auntie's children are deadbeats. They're just fucking losers. Shane and Christy Childs, and then she had another son to another marriage, so Shane and Christy Childs is from her partner that was in Bathurst or Rockley, Reg Childs, and then she had another son to, what was it, not Dave. She went with Dave Caban, then went with Nab Caban. Caban? I don't know. Nab Caban. Bruce Caban. Anyway, which is the other son. Because he looks like Nab. We call him Nab, but he looks like Nabs, which is Renae's Bruce's mother. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, look. Nog. Thank you very much. Bullshit behaviour. Anyway. Not here or there. Like the rubbish since 2015. I think I've made it perfectly clear that I've had a gutful of it. There's been just, and I'm the one paying for it. It's like, why am I fucking paying for the bullshit of the last 9 years? It's cost me an absolute fortune. Those that should be, that's causing the damage should be paying for it. Anyway, look, what I said in the last post, and I'm making it perfectly clear. Can we just rely on documents? Seriously, like for an example, I said years, this fucking Mark Hanna, this freaking loser. Like I was saying to these people, it's like, but okay, I know from growing up having a great grandmother that was a seamstress designer. She was a beautiful dressmaker. My great grandmother, I grew up with her. Anyway, Mary Sayer, who married Arthur Keegan, so became Mary Keegan. That's the Irish side. The Irish and English, and one relative was French. It started like Nan said. Her great-grandmother's French, her great-grandfather's Irish, her grandmother's French and Irish. She married an Englishman because her grandfather her grandmother's French and Irish, her grandfather's English, so her mother's French, Irish and English. And then her father's Irish. And then you've got Nan, and then Pop's descendants were English. Nan used to say. So, yeah, I know my Nan side really well. The descendants. And that's a fact. Nan's father, so Arthur Keegan, was a jockey. Arthur Keegan was a jockey, and Mary Sayer, which is his wife, so Mary Keegan, my great-grandmother, was a seamstress, a dressmaker. My Nan, Lola, was a clerk, gave up her job. She was a clerk in Glebe, which Nan used to say, like back in those days, it was like being these days you'll call her an accountant. That's what she did. Nan said she gave it up to raise a family. Pop was a butcher. They had racehorses, pacers and trotters, Reginald George Purdy had, and race pigeons. Like as I've said, so all this stuff's been gaslighted. And people want to know why I get so pissed off with my mum's side of the family. It's like, yeah, because you've opened your mouth up with bullshit where all you had to do was like, okay, I need something confirmed. Grandfather Keegan was a jockey. Yes. All right. My pop, Reginald George Purdy, raced pacers and trotters. Yes. Mum's friggin' cousin that still lives in Leichhardt. It's like, I spoke to him last year, and it's like, well, Pop used to say because he had his horses in Balmain, did he? He used to say he used to ride his horse down where the ferry came in Balmain, and little Brian goes, well, the stables are still there, so he most likely did. Because the stable complex is still there. It's used as storage sheds down in Balmain. I was like, okay. Because I never knew Pop having horses there. Because when I grew up, Pop was living in Blacktown, and the stables were at the back of the house in Blacktown. So But I've gone past where where my mum was actually, where my mum was born, where she was living, which is 90 Mansfield Street in Rozelle, is the second house from the roundhouse on the corner. I went back there when Pop was alive, because that's where all Pop's family's from. So, look, and that's what I've said. Like, all this was brought up over the years, and I'm like, oh, this is getting ridiculous now, isn't it? Can we just stick with facts? Like, okay, because I'm not going to back down. So, facts are, okay, your mother worked as a paralegal for Ian Shellback. Yep, how do you prove that? Well, is Brendan Shellback, Ian Shellback's adopted son, still alive? I mean, they were from David Street, Clifton Gardens near Mossman. I was at Diane Shellback's funeral in October 2005. So, anyway, to be able to find these people and back it up, better yet, Margie Clay, which is my mum's junior secretary, who lived in Minchinbury. She went from Minchinbury when we lived in Rooter Hill to Kellyville, from Kellyville to Greenwich was when Trevor, her first husband, Trevor and Margie divorced. Margie ended up dating Ross Goodrich and moved to Greenwich, and I was down the road in St Leonard's. So Margie would know. So can we just stick with the facts, like what people know, not what they don't know? So if you want me to back something up to be verified, I can say, okay, well, Margie Clay can back up that we had a horse stud in Rooty Hill, because she used to go there. Margie Clay can back up that she was my mother's junior secretary when my mother worked for Ian Shellback. We can back that up. So can we back up this? Because I'm not going to put up with being gaslighted for 9 years. I'm not going to put up with it for another 9 minutes, let alone another 9 days or anything else, if you know what I mean. So it went on in America as well. Like, I'm not going to go back to the US. This is ridiculous. I've had a green card to America since 2014. It's the most ridiculous bullshit I've put up with in the last 9 years. And it's all weird organisations that got involved, which is this stuff to do with this Stephanie DeSalis as well. What else? Okay, need to back up that I was working at the Powerhouse. Well, there's a photo of me that when I worked at the Powerhouse back in 1999. Look, I just was up there briefly. There's a photo of me taken. Like, and my hair was black, naturally near black, which is what my hair is. So when people were thinking about someone that was blonde, I'm like, yeah, no, my hair was black. I can show you a photo of me. I've got it in storage. So when I worked at the Powerhouse by Ridges in Tamworth in 1999, yeah. But I just moved back there just to work at the place, and I moved back home to Sydney again. Then I worked in Church Street, Parramatta. Like, can we just look at the facts and documents? And if you want someone to say, right, well, you've got this amount of documents, because I'm not going to back down where it's come to defamation for 9 years. So I'm going to classify the gaslighting as defamation. So can we just look at the documented facts and go after these organisations? That's all I want. Which I've said to Margie Clay, can't you get Ross Goodrich to help? Like, Margie Clay is one of my oldest friends. So, and I don't need someone's opinion or what their interpretation of it is. It's like, okay, can we just stick with the fact that, Lola May Keegan was born in Wellington, New South Wales, where the racing industry is. And then her parents, when grandfather Keegan, Arthur William James Keegan, broke his back. See, I've got a good memory because I grew up with my grandparents. When he broke his back, they moved back home to Sydney, and I asked Nan. And Nan's like, well, all my family's from Sydney, Justin. With the ones that if you were big in the racing industry, you went to Wellington in those days. And that's what Nan used to say. So Wellington, New South Wales. And she said, look, her grandmother had racehorses, her grandmother's sister Eddie had racehorses. And I turned around and said to Nan, I was like, well, where did she keep, because you told me that Annie was from Bellevue Hill. She goes, she is from Bellevue Hill. I'm like, well, then where'd she keep her horses in Bellevue Hill? And Nan goes, in Randwick. I was like, oh, okay. And that's the exact conversation Nan and I had. Because Nan was telling me about going, she goes, oh, I loved it. She goes, Nan hated the house she lived in Piper Street. She said it was too small. I'm like, too small? It was beautiful. I loved it, the terraced house. It was a 3-bedroom, beautiful house. Nan sold it in 1999. I used to love going there to visit my great uncle, which I call Uncle Fred, but his name's Leo Patrick Sayer. My great grandmother, which is her maiden name Sayer, so Mary Sayer, but married to Keegan, so become Mary Keegan. And I used to go there all the time. It's where Nan grew up, and loved that place. And then goes, oh no, I hated the terrace house. It was so small yard. She goes, I liked she used to say her grandmother's house, which is Julia, but it's actually Julia's sister's house. So Nana Lola used to travel on the tram from Leichhardt to Bellevue Hill to go and see her grandmother and her grandmother's sister, and her cousin Gary Williams. And that's where they lived, and none like that house. Anyway, so that's how the conversation started. And I was like, but you told me Annie had racehorses. She goes, she did have racehorses. They all had racehorses in my family. It's like, well, where did she keep them? She goes, in Randwick. It's like, oh, and that's how Nan used to talk, exactly like I did with that expression. It's like, oh, okay. She goes, where do you think? She goes, because, anyway, so that's all facts. It's like, so can we just stick with facts? So these are facts, and if I need someone to back up something, I can say, well, you can get Mum's cousin Sharon in Chick Newcomb to back up what they know, but I've got the documents, and I'm not going to get you to take information from my mother because she's a fucking liar. My mother and her sisters have too much of my grandfather, Reginald George Purdy's mother and his sister in them. They're just fucking bitches. They'll argue black was blue just to cause trouble in someone's life. So you could show them a document like, I don't know, where's one of my family documents? I've got documents everywhere. You could sit there and show them a birth, deaths, and marriage document said there. That's the death record of Lillian Steele. Pot's mother, Lillian Steele, was still living in Newtown when she died. And they would argue black was blue just to argue against you. That's what they are. Like you could show, it's like, well, there it is as a proof. They do that just to be, they're just bitches. That's why my grandfather couldn't stand my grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, could not stand his daughters. And the common phrase that was always used was, Lola, control your daughters. And my nan used to turn around to Pop and say, Reg, I can't control them as much as I can control the weather. Like, they were feral, and they are feral, and I can't stand them. So you've got Miriam Mahowski, which is Miriam Purdy, her maiden name, Carol. So my mother married, her first husband's Fleming, her second husband's Rackley, but her maiden name is Purdy. So you've got Carol Purdy, Miriam Purdy, which, she's married Richard Mahowski. Robin Purdy, which her first husband was Childs, so that's Robin Childs. They're fucking bitches. They're feral women. I cannot stand them. And their father couldn't stand them. So my grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, could not stand them. And that common phrase was used all the time, Lola, control your daughters. And he used to get the shits. His older age was spent, I'm not surprised Nan had a stroke. I'm not surprised. Or a heart attack, because they'll push me into having a heart attack. I want them out of my life completely. They would look back in 2002. This was said back in 2002 in Concord Hospital. Pop just died, and I said to Nan, those lines. Nan wanted me to move back home into the suburbs, and I said his exact words to Nan. I said, I'm not going to be around now that Pop's not here to keep your daughters in line. There's no way. So that was back in 2002. I cannot stand them. And I won't have anything to do with them, and I won't have anything to do with Amanda because she's exactly like them. Amanda is so much, even worse. My twin sister is worse than Carol and Marianne combined. And they're just feral, horrible, narcissistic, toxic, control freak, just evil, vindictive pieces of shit women. And that's all they will ever be. And anybody you'll see the people that they start involving for the little, I call it hubble, bubble, ball and trouble bullshit with their lies. And they'll drag people in that know nothing, like Stephanie DeSalis. They dragged her into this as well. And it's like, because they just kind of grab hold of people. It's like, well, she was never a friend of mine. But scumbags are people they're the scumbags of people. They don't know anything about me. They grab Stephanie DeSalis, Sam Delante and other people as well. So, but look, you're not going to find me backing down from this, and that's the thing. I'm not it's like, well, let's just go off the documents. That's it, and that's the way it is. I'm not going to be a person that backs down from the last 9 years, especially when I've been wronged. And I'm not going to be gaslighted either. And that's where people can wake up and say, well, as soon as this bullshit started in 2015 and the lies started, I was like, right, what do I know on certain people? What do I know? Because I'm sick and tired of this shit. I was like, okay, fuck this shit. Right. I'm not going to say it's blackmail, because it's not blackmail, but it's like, you might want to watch your step, because type thing. Yeah. But look, as for Margie Clay, which was Mum's junior secretary, and also used to keep in touch with my mum's younger sister, Mary Mahowski, how many times was she asked? Like, seriously, like, she used to pride herself by saying, oh, I knew Justin before he was born. One of our family, like, her oldest friends. It's like, right, you're one of my oldest friends. Then I've asked you to help me correct some false information that's gone on since 2015 and 2016. Now, your husband, or your new partner, since you and Trevor divorced back many years ago, now, Christ, over 20 years ago, you've been with Ross Goodridge about 20 years. Oh, hang on. Yeah, it is. Jesus Christ. Wow, it is. Far out. God, time flies. So it's been over 20 years. So why couldn't you just say, like, Ross, can't you just help him? Like, here's the facts. Just get things verified. Cease and desist order. And so Justin can live his life before damage is done. 9 years ago, Margie Clay could have done that. And then I'm turning around going, oh, wow, well, every family function, thanks, because, maybe, I shouldn't have turned up at these functions to with, like, my cousin's christening. So Luke's christening, that was in, 2003, I think it was, which we had in Blacktown at the Pigeon Club, because it was rained out. We were going to have it at Narrandinja Reserve out there in Blacktown. Margie and Ross came to that. And it's like I was with Margie and Ross, always, friends with them. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that then. It's like, I look at the past going, well, maybe I shouldn't have been friends with you. Like, seriously, or like going to Ross's place in, I'm pissed off. It's like, I remember when Margie and Ross had trouble in their relationship, and, I was there for them, so was mate's partner, John, for them. The Christmas parties we went to, or catching up with them at the holiday house and so forth. And, it's like, well, you were your mum's junior secretary before we were born, and you're the oldest family friend, and I asked something so simple from you that you couldn't do in the last 9 years. I'm sitting back and it's like, oh, right. So this is because there's an argument between myself and Mary Mahowski, my younger auntie. It's like, what, are you involved in that? Because we've argued like this our entire life. She's like a freaking bitch of an older sister. Or what? It's like, because I don't get involved. Like, I'm not going to go to you and say, oh, Marianne said this and that. No, I don't do that. But I'm telling you now that organisations got involved in my life since I was lied about in 2015. I've asked you, as one of my family's oldest friends and my oldest friends, and your partner or husband, Ross Goodridge is a good barrister that could have gone, okay, let's look at the facts and fix this before it causes Justin's life damage. And you couldn't do that? Like, you couldn't do that. So I'm sitting back going, right, okay, that's not fair. Like, even Brendan Clay, I remember, like, growing up when Brendan's mother, Margie Clay, was still with his father, Trevor, and they lived in Minchinbury, and we had the horse stud in Ridley Hill. Like, I remember as kids growing up when we had the horses in the suburbs of Sydney. And, and then coming over to our place, and we going over to their place and so forth growing up. So, but here's some bullshit that's been said since 2015 that isn't true. All I need you to do is help with something very specific, okay? That can be, look, and you don't even have to have your opinion on it. If there's something that you can say, well, yes, I remember the place in, Dunsmore Street, Ridley Hill, yes. Or, that's, back then when we lived around the corner in Minchinbury, or yes, or, when you remember Trevor, one of the barristers, I don't know if he's still alive, or, Ian Schalbach. I went to Diane Schalbach's funeral in 2005, in October 2005. I don't even know if Margie Clay kept in touch with Brendan Schalbach, the adopted son. I don't even know if people know that Brendan Schalbach was the adopted son. Because that's the only one I ever really remember. I think Mum taught Brendan Schalbach from David Street, Clifton Gardens, to ride horses. I'm sure it was Brendan that she used to teach down in the suburbs of Sydney to go and ride horses. So, she used to teach everyone to ride horses. She even taught John Smarl's son. I remember John Smarl's son from Family Boats, just on Ford Street off Sunny Holt Road in Blacktown. It was PJ Boats and Family Boats. I haven't seen John Smarl since, I don't know if he turned up to Nan's funeral in 2018. I don't remember seeing him there. But it was a very disturbing time. Last time I had a conversation with John Smars was Amanda's wedding in 2006. So, I haven't seen him for years, which is unfortunate because he was Pop's closest friend. Anyway, but again, like, you get so sick of this bullshit. And I've done post after post of this, and it's like, well, what do you want? You know, you've got friggin' Margie Clay, Mum's junior secretary, I kept in touch with my entire life. You know, in my entire life. And I've asked her and her partner, Ross Goodrich, you know, who I've been close to since even Margie and Trevor divorced, to say, look, here's some wrong information. There's got to be something that you can do to help me fix this before it comes out of control and causes me damage. And nothing. I'm like, really? So then don't ever say that you care about me or love me again, because like Margie Clay was like, we were really close growing up, Mum's junior secretary, because became one of our closest family friends. I was like, don't ever say that you care or care about me or love me or whatever, when you know this is causing me pain and hurt and damages for 9 years, and it's something that you could have easily helped me resolve, and you didn't. So I'll leave it at that, and because I didn't want to do this video more than 15 minutes, it's gone to 20 minutes, I'll leave it there, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. But